Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us today in the study of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Today we'll be studying Srimad-Bhagavatam Canto 3, Chapter 2, Remembrance of Lord Kṛṣṇa. And so here we will be remembering the super excellent pastimes of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Please join us for Jai Radha Madhav prayers. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
हरे कृष्णा डियर व्यूअर्स, आप सभी का अभिनंदन है, आप सभी का स्वागत है। आज की जो भागवतम क्लास है श्रीमद् भागवतम कैंटो 3 चैप्टर 2 रिमेम्बरेंस ऑफ कृष्णा। और प्रभु जी आज हमें बताएंगे, हमारे साथ शेयर करेंगे कि किस तरह से ये जो डिवोशनल सर्विस है, ये जो भक्ति का पाथ है, इसमें विष्णु स्मरणम यानी रिमेम्बरेंस ऑफ द लॉर्ड, द सुपर एक्सलेंट पास्टाइम्स ऑफ द लॉर्ड, इस पर प्रभु जी हमें बहुत सारे लेसन शेयर करेंगे इस चैप्टर से। सो लेट मी फर्स्ट वेलकम सम ऑफ द व्यूअर्स हु आर kindly joining us here and they have expressed greetings Prabhu ji. Priya ji, Hare Krishna, Bina Vishwas ji, Hare Krishna, Gautam Sood ji, Hare Krishna, Vinod Shiv Narayan ji, Hare Krishna, Neeru ji, Hare Krishna, और Alan Lucas, Hare Krishna, Roma Gurbakshani ji, Hare Krishna, Gautam Sood ji, Hare Krishna, लीलावती गुप्ता जी, हरे कृष्णा, दीप बैनर्जी, उमानाथ मूल्या, हरे कृष्णा। और उन सारे व्यूअर्स को हु आर जॉइनिंग अस फर्स्ट टाइम, खास अभिनंदन। हु आर क्वाइट शाय, दैट इज ओके, वी कैन ऑल बेनिफिट फ्रॉम एंगेजिंग इन श्रवणम एंड कीर्तनम। प्रभु जी, प्लीज गो अहेड एंड स्टार्ट द क्लास।
Hare Krishna, please join us for Mangalacharan prayers. We'll sing them together.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiryet. Shravam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto He Bhadrani Vidunoti Sahasratam Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Ruttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhakti Nashtaki.
Hare Krishna. So, in this chapter, we want to pick up a very famous verse for recitation today. So, please join us in the recitation of the 23rd verse of chapter 2 in Canto 3. Aho bakiyam stanakalakutam jigham sayapaya yadapya sadhvi lebhe gatim dhratim uchitam tato anyam kim va dayalum sharanam rajema. It's a very famous verse. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Alas, how shall I take shelter of the more merciful than He who granted the position of mother to the she-demon Putana, although she was unfaithful and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. Hare Krishna. Please join us for Guru Pranati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshutarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tadaham vande Shri Gurum Dīnataranam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So before we get started with the class, it's very important to also remember the Acharyas. And today happens to be the appearance day of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. And also it is the disappearance day of Srila Purushottam Das Thakur. So again, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, he was the guru, the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. So both had the same title, Srila Prabhupada. And there's some, very quickly I want to cover some important aspects. He was known as Simha Guru, Lion King, Guru, right? He was like a lion. And why was he known as a lion? Because of his very strong faith and determination in preaching Krishna consciousness and removing some of the fashion or trends that were prevailing. The reason I call it fashion is, we earlier talked about that sometimes in the family of devotees, personalities are born who are bewildered, who are deluded by material energy. And that's exactly what had happened. When Nityananda Prabhu and Janva Devi, his wife, they left their descendants, they assumed the title of Goswami, and they said that they are Goswami. So in Bengal, their descendants are known by this surname, right? The last name is Goswami. And so Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Prabhupada, he opposed this title and he re-established Krishna consciousness to its position and removed the caste system that was prevailing. So that's one place he is known as Simha Guru. Another place is where, when he was a child, there was mango that was kept for the offering for bhoga. And he, by mistake, tasted that mango. And when his father, who is his father? Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Yes. So again, when he reminded who? His son, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that this was part of bhoga, he took the vow not to ever eat mango in his life. So that's another place where he's showing like he was such a strong personality that he never tasted mango after that incident in his life. And he was very strong. He was like a lion in his determination. Now another aspect is when he is, he was a great scholar, he was a great astrologer. And we all are interested in astrology, right? We want to know what's awaiting us, what kind of happiness and how can we become happy, how can we become peaceful. So he was a great, he had finished his studies, he was a great scholar, an astrologer, but he gave it up, to propagate Krishna consciousness. And he used all his energies in propagating Krishna consciousness. तो भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती महाराज, उन्होंने कृष्णा कॉन्शियसनेस को प्रोपेगेट करने के लिए, प्रीच करने के लिए, he put aside all his other qualifications and he focused on translating. And हम लोगों को बहुत पसंद है ब्रह्म संहिता, right? We see, Brahma Samhita being heavily propagated, and it was by his mercy. He translated Brahma Samhita. Sometimes people, they get confused. They think that it was Srila Prabhupada. Again, both have the same title, so there is confusion apparently there. But it was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur who gave us the English translation of Sri Brahma Samhita that we recite on a daily basis, and it helps us understand the supreme, transcendental pastimes and his expansions of Lord Shri Krishna. So he also wrote many books where he is propagating the knowledge, he is propagating Krishna consciousness. तो उन्होंने उनका पहला instruction. So initially, it is very interesting. The third aspect I do want to cover is the initiation aspect. जब उन्होंने अपने पिता श्रील भक्तिविनोद ठाकुर, who was already one of the acharyas, he was initiating disciples. When he approached his father, उनके father, he knew that my son is great scholar and he's proud of his great learning. So he wanted to make Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj very humble. So he said, no, you should take initiation from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. And now Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj was an illiterate, means he didn't go through the school and college studies. Even though he was fully potent with Krishna consciousness, he had full Krishna consciousness. So at that time, just hearing this instruction that my father is asking me to take initiation from Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, बहुत ही अच्छी तरह से उन्होंने गौर किशोर दास बाबा जी महाराज को अप्रोच किया, and he took initiation from him. And it was, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Prabhupada's instruction to Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, our Param Guru, that he imparted his instruction before giving him initiation. So it was in 1922 when Srila Prabhupada first met him. At that time he said that you understand English, you know English, so why don't you translate these books and preach to the Western world? And this was the instruction that Srila Prabhupada took to his heart, and it was in 1933, after 11 years, he got initiated by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. But that, instruction, जो उनका उपदेश था, उनके दिल में रहा, and so he translated Srimad-Bhagavatam Bhagavad Gita in English, came to the West, propagated Krishna consciousness, and today we are all thankful to Srila Prabhupada and also to his spiritual master Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Prabhupada, for giving that instruction so that we fallen souls can have some hope in our life. Now, so today happens to be the appearance day of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And today also happens to be the disappearance day of पुरुषोत्तम दास ठाकुर. Now पुरुषोत्तम दास ठाकुर, उनके 3 बेटे थे. बेटों का नाम क्या था? श्री माधवाचार्य. So again we can understand he's one of the acharyas who was married to the daughter of Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu or Janva Devis, they had a daughter by the name Ganga Devi. So he was married to Ganga Devi. The second son was Shri Yadvacharya, again another one acharyas. And third son was Devaki Nandan Das. Now, Srila Purushottam Das Thakur, he was the cowherd boy, Stoke Krishna and Krishna Leela. One who is with Balaram, little older than Krishna, and he is always, serving and engaging in the cowherd Leela. So we hear about Stoke Krishna in Vrindavan Leela a lot. So he was an incarnation of Stok Kṛṣṇa. So he was Stok Kṛṣṇa in Krishna Leela. Now coming back to the topic today. आज का जो हम लोगों ने verse पढ़ा, it is a very, very important verse because it shows the super excellent pastimes and the causeless mercy of Lord Shri Krishna. So aho is like alas. But now interestingly, the words, this is the glories of Sanskrit, right? You can change the order of the words, but the meaning still remains the same. So even the aho is preceding baki aham stanakalakutam. It actually is related with the verse that appears later on. Tato anyam kamva dayalum sharanam vajima. Alas, whose shelter can I take, right? Who is more merciful than that, right? So who is the dayalum? Jinka sharanam, like jinka sharan lene ki baat kar rahe hain Uddhav ji. So this is a conversation between Uddhav and Vidurji at the bank of Yamuna. Yes, we talked about that from Prabhas as Vidurji was traveling east towards Saraswati and Yamuna, while he was near Yamuna river, at the bank of Yamuna, he happened to see Uddhav and they embraced each other. And they spent the whole night. So this conversation is the conversation between Uddhav and Vidurji, and we also understand that Uddhav, he has been glorified by Shukdev Goswami, who is reciting the Srimad-Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, who is fasting until dawn. And here, look at the glories, means again, all night they are conversing about Lord Shri Krishna. It passes as like a second, like a moment. So this is where sometimes we say, time flies for those who are, have fun. So again, they were enjoying the supreme pastimes, the super excellent pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna. And we have experienced this. I remember once I was traveling from Delhi to, Gwalior. And at that time, we happened to meet some old friends in our travel. And as we were traveling, actually all the way to Bhopal we were traveling. And this was a long journey. But it was just by coincidence that we happened to meet an old friend, in the train. And so we started conversing how we were playing as children, how, we had fun together at school times, how we used to have so much wonderful interactions with the teachers. And sometimes we would refer to during the sport times, how we used to sport together. And we used to also think about other kids, talk about other kids. So have you seen this kid? Have you seen that kid? And the whole travel passed away, we didn't even come to know. And it was interesting that he got down at Gwalior and with his family. And it was from Gwalior to Bhopal, means another 8 hours of journey, was the longest journey. The whole night passed in talking, didn't come to know. But जब पूरी रात बात करते रहे, पता नहीं लगा. लेकिन जैसे ही वो ग्वालियर पे उतर गए, अपनी फैमिली के साथ, परिवार के साथ, ग्वालियर से भोपाल के जो 8 घंटे के जो सफ़र था, it felt like so long. But yes, it became easier because we were still, among my family, I was discussing that we used to have this, we used to have that. And then हम लोगों ने ये एक बात और travel किया है, right? That एक बात और experience किया है, that it is the last 5-10 minutes before we hear that the station is coming. And now we are anxiously waiting for the station is coming. And this 15 minutes seems to expand themselves to hours and hours. Because we are too anxious to reach there. And so similarly, when we are talking about Krishna, the time passes. I was thinking I'll start at 8, by 8:30 I'll finish. But I haven't yet started because the time is flying, because we are talking about Krishna. And when we talk about Lord Krishna and his devotees, time flies and we don't come to know of it because we get mesmerized and we lose track of time. So similarly, here we see how Uddhavji and Vidurji. So in the previous chapter we talked, we covered the various questions that were asked by Uddhavji. by Vidurji. And as you know, Uddhav, who is the younger cousin of Lord Krishna, he looks like Lord Krishna, he wears the clothes like Lord Krishna. So, there's a lot of resemblance. It's very difficult to miss out, Uddhav. If he just looks like Lord Krishna, he appears like and he wears Lord Krishna's clothes. It's very easy to, mistake him for Krishna. But at the same time, Uddhav had already met Lord Krishna, and Vidurji had already met Uddhav and Lord Krishna. I don't know why I'm getting mixed between the two personalities. So here, what is Vidurji observing? As he's asking questions, he's observing the transcendental ecstasies, the symptoms appearing. उनका जो उद्धव जी जैसे जैसे वो क्वेश्चन सुन रहे थे, तो विदुर जी ऑब्जर्व करते हैं, जैसे वो क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हैं, उनसे क्वेश्चन कर रहे हैं, तो उद्धव जी के बॉडी में डिफरेंट डिफरेंट एक्सटैटिक सिम्टम्स अपीयर कर रहे हैं. उनके बॉडी लिम्स क्विवर कर रहे हैं, राइट, दैट इज एन एक्सटैटिक सिम्टम्स. उनके जो बाल है वो रोंगटे खड़े हो रहे हैं, ही इज गेटिंग गूज बम्प्स विच आर विजिबल, एंड he is like he is not able to stop his tears from flowing, and his face is completely like he is in a like awakened dreaming. He's missing someone. He's smiling so like a madman smiles, right, at times, and he's completely lost. He's not here. At that time, Mahatma Vidur, he understands that Uddhav has gone to the spiritual abode. Even in this body, he's there. So this is a mindset. With devotees, we read Srimad-Bhagavatam to understand the glories of the Lord, not for the scholarly qualification, right? We remember the super excellent pastimes of Lord Krishna, not for the scholarship, but to immediately transmigrate ourselves and connect with Krishna, who is in Golok Vrindavan, to connect with Krishna, who is further expanded as Vasudev in Dwarka, in Mathura. So we directly go to those abodes of Lord Krishna while in this body. So it is a state of mind. Remember, Lord Krishna, when he gives his instruction in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, he says, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. What is the first one? Manmana, always think of me. So that is what we have to do. That is the level we want to get. Manmana bhava. We should constantly be thinking, always thinking. And it is this feeling, constant thinking and remembering Lord Krishna, his pastimes, the pastime of his devotees is also, so again, Lord's pastimes are called Leela. Remembering is called Smarana. So Lord's pastimes, remembering Lord's pastimes is called Leela Smaran. And this is constantly being done by all pure devotees of Lord Shri Krishna, including the gopis. They are also remembering. And Uddhav also has another thing. He is feeling separation from Lord Krishna. Because Lord Krishna has returned back to his abode. He did not take Uddhav. He actually gave a message to Uddhav that Uddhav is taking to Badrika Ashram to give it to Narayan Rishi. And that is the whole of 11th canto that we'll be reading later on. So we'll cover those pastimes. But here Uddhav, he's in separation, just like gopis were in separation from Lord Krishna. And Uddhav, we'll also hear in 10th canto, when he went to Vrindavan to pass the message of Lord Shri Krishna, he saw the separation of the gopis. He felt that separation, which is called Vipralamba, right? So this is, remembering one in separation. And we can understand this very nicely when we go back home to our parents. They keep us very close to their hearts. They keep us very close, and they, whole night passes without sleeping at times because they are so much engrossed in remembering, it's been so long that, you have finally come home to see us. And when we meet our old friends after a long time, we immediately feel that connection and we don't come to know of time. Sometimes we meet for 5 hours, 6 hours, and a whole day has passed. And it feels like just a moment. So such are the glories of Lord Shri Krishna when we are discussing the sweet pastimes, the amorous pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna. And at this particular time, Uddhavji, when he is showing all these symptoms of, his voice is choking, so he takes a moment before responding. That's the first verse in this chapter. That Uddhav is feeling all these ecstasies. Gala bharaya hai prem se, Prabhu ke prem se. He is finding it hard to speak, so he composes himself. He brings him back to where he is at the bank of Yamuna, interacting with Vidurji, Mahatma Vidur. And he, at that time, before he speaks, Shukdev Goswami is glorifying that he could not speak, and even though he was a 5-year-old child, from the young age itself, he was attracted to Lord Shri Krishna and he was constantly serving. Now, who's Uddhav in the previous life, we'll come to know later. I'll keep that because that's appearing in the 4th chapter. And here we hear about, Uddhavji's glories by Shukdev Goswami. He's glorifying that from the age of 5-year-old, Uddhavji was constantly attracted to Lord Shri Krishna. He would serve Lord Krishna very attentively. And in this way, he would feel transcendental bliss. He would feel very happy. He would feel, very joyful. And so by serving Lord Shri Krishna, he was feeling ecstasy. And in the young age itself, his parents had given him dolls, like Lord Krishna, Radharani's dolls. And he would play with dolls. He would dress them up. He would worship them, looking at his parents. And Srila Prabhupada said that this is a common custom in India. Instead of the figurines of today, children, they are into this, the Avengers and other kind of dolls and figurines, changing shapes and all that. They are attracted by that, right? But this is a perverted reflection of what was being taught in the Vedic culture, that the children were giving, dolls of the Lord, Lord Krishna, Lord Ramchandra, Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrughna, and they would on a daily basis worship them, dress them nicely, take care of them, so that the devotion would automatically, be awakened in the heart. So it was constantly fanning the spark in the heart, so that they would naturally become attracted to Lord Krishna, and they would always become pious with pure heart. They will grow up as perfect gentlemen and ladies. So that is the Vedic culture. And many times when devotees, they hear about this, they make sure that the children also get similar dolls, and they see the dolls all around the house, and that has been glorified as well. And from the early age itself, Uddhav had been serving. He was the advisor of Lord Shri Krishna, and hearing Mahatma Vidur's questions, he responds in his choking voice, and his, with all the ecstasies visible, he is glorifying. And so we picked up this verse, which appears much later. Hare Krishna. So this, verse 23 is much later, but it is glorifying here. And sometimes people say that Putana, right? She was the first demoness. She was a she-demon who was killed by Lord Krishna. So imagine the first demon that Lord Krishna is killing is a woman, right? A she-demon. Then second aspect is that Lord Krishna, he did not see that she is offering him, the poison smeared on her breast. He was seeing her in the form of mother. That as a mother, she wants to feed me her milk. And then the third aspect is, what is the destination she gets? She gets the destination after that life. After she is killed by Lord Krishna, she becomes an associate of Yashoda Mai in Golok Vrindavan. Now this is where you sometimes even devotees find it hard, because this is the causeless mercy of Krishna, that he takes the bhav, his bhav gahi janadana, right? He understands the essence in our heart. And sometimes, when we understand this, we also, in a joking mood, we say, we don't mean to offend anyone. Sometimes when we ourselves go and make an offering to Lord Krishna, we are always reminded of this incident where we say, oh, dear Lord, please accept it as a humble offering from our side, we understand that you are seated in everyone's heart. And you are saying it is not what we are giving, but what we are holding back. Right? So, Lord always sees the positive. So, devotees always want to see the positive, what others are offering. But for our correction, we also see, for our improvement, we also see, yes, we are offering this, but are we holding back something or not? If you are holding back, that is for our own disadvantage. That is where we are stopping Lord or other devotees to, let the mercy flow through us. We want Lord's mercy to flow fully. Yet Lord is so merciful as Bhav Grahi Janadana. He understands the essence, the feelings with which we approach. And so we get His causeless mercy. And causeless mercy is also known as prasad, right? And every time we talk about prasad, what happens? We become hungry. But today we are fasting till noon because we are observing the appearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and the disappearance day of Srila Purushottam Das Thakur, who was a great associate. Again, Purushottam Das Thakur was in Krishna Lila, he is Tok Kṛṣṇa. Along with Balaram, they are both serving Lord Krishna. So, this Putana became an associate of Yashoda Mai. However, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as well as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his father, as well as Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, all the acharyas above them, before them, including Srila Rupa Goswami, they warn us that we should not take to the mentality of Putana to commit offenses, because there is another pastime that we'll cover when we'll come to the pastime of Putana, and we did cover it when we covered the 10th canto last year when we finished our Srimad-Bhagavatam recitation and covering the pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna, who Putana was in her previous life. But here we are going to focus on that even though she is unfaithful, right, in her behavior, her intentions were something else, but Lord looked at the other aspects. So when she approached Lord Krishna, he closed his eyes because he understood that she is unfaithful, right? Jigamsaya. And she was out of envy was offering her milk, because actually it was the poison that she wanted to offer. And she is referred to as, her name doesn't appear. Sometimes people say, her name is, why is she called Baki? Baki means sister of Bakasur. Bakasur he appeared in a duck-like bird form, and his beaks were, bifurcated by Lord Shri Krishna. So he was killed by Lord Krishna, and he was the first kill in Vrindavan when Lord Krishna went. Well, Putana was already killed earlier when Lord Krishna was just born, just a baby, and she is sister of Bakasur. So Bakasur fought with Krishna also because he knew that Lord Krishna had killed his sister. And also there was another brother of Bakasur who was later on killed, who wanted to avenge the killing of his brother and sister Bakasur and Putana. And this demon is known as Aghasur, the great big serpent demon. And so here, Uddhavji, he starts describing the super excellent pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna. He's saying that, whose shelter can I take? Who is there any other personality than Lord Shri Krishna? And Lord Krishna was so merciful that even though this unfaithful sister of Bakasur, out of envy, she wanted to actually feed poison, but because she offered her breast to suck on for the lordship, for Lord Krishna gave her the position of mother, as Dhatri, right, as a nurse, and she became an associate of Yashoda Mai in Vrindavan, in Golok Vrindavan. So again, sometimes devotees, they look at this and they're like, oh wow, Lord Krishna, he's kitne dayalu hai, he's so compassionate. This is his causeless mercy that even the demons, they attain his abode. Now there are various other demons are also discussed in this pastime. So, first, Uddhavji is also describing demons like king of Chedi. Chedi is the Raj kingdom, right? King of Chedi is who? Shishupal. And Shishupal was very envious. He would constantly blaspheme Krishna. He would call him bad names. However, Acharyas explained that Goddess Saraswati was using him to glorify Lord Shri Krishna. Right? Sometimes he would call Lord Krishna as Naradham, the one who is the most fallen amongst all human beings. And Goddess Saraswati would, in a prayerful mode, say, which means that in front of Lord Krishna, all other men are fallen. So she's changing the whole meaning. So when even in demonic mindset, if someone is speaking, and let's not forget, Shishupal is none other than, previously he was Hiranyakashipu. Then later on he was Ravan, and now he's appearing as Shishupal. This is Jai, the doorkeeper of Lord Vishnu. So he's coming. So he's been glorified that, even though he was saying bad names to Lord Krishna during the Rajsuya Yajna time, and Lord Krishna, he killed him. Everybody saw that the spirit spark, his soul, a shining soul, and it was another causeless mercy of Lord Krishna, that it came out from his body and merged into Lord Krishna's body. So it merged into Lord Krishna's body. So everybody thought he got Sayujya Mukti, merging into the supreme Brahman effulgence. But in reality, Acharyas revealed that it appeared to be entering into Lord Krishna's. Yes, that is Sayujya, but he also received a four-arm form in the Vaikuntha planet, and waiting for his next, appearance, which is in the form with Jai Vijay. Later on, got the chance in Gaurila as Jagai and Madhai, to appear as Jagai and Madhai. And they were even elevated to a higher planet, and not to disturb the mind of newcomers, we want to reserve it for later. So why is Lord Krishna's pastime discussed here while they are appearing in 10th canto? Because in the beginning, it is always good to identify some coming attractions, right? So the coming attractions are amazing, but to prepare to be able to come to those attractions in detail, Uddhavji is just giving us a trailer as what is coming ahead. And he is talking about these demons who went one after another. And he said, Lord Krishna, just like a young boy, a toddler would break the dolls, and these are the mud dolls. When Srila Prabhupada talks about dolls, he's not talking about the plush dolls today, which even if an adult tries to tear, they won't tear. He's not talking about those. He's talking about those the mud dolls. They can easily be broken. The moment they fall on the ground, they shatter into pieces. So this is what has been referred, that just like as simply as a child breaks a doll, even unknowingly, just like that, Lord Krishna, he was killing these demons they were sent by Kamsa. And so, and all these demons, they attained Vaikuntha Loka. So this is another place we glorify Krishna as Krishna Surya Sama Maya He Andhakara. Lord Krishna is like sun, but Acharyas reveal that we should not take to this mentality of the demons. We should not take to demonic mentalities, because then we will be cast into hellish conditions and we will have to suffer for millions of years. We don't want to do that. We don't want to have such a bad destination. So it is for our benefit. Can you imagine even the demons killed by Lord Krishna, right? Even the demons killed by Vasudeva Krishna, they all attain to Vaikuntha. And in this Kali age, we have both the mentality, right? We have divine mindset as well as demonic mindset. And by chanting of the holy name, we can easily give up the demonic mindset, because chanting of the holy name nourishes the Bhakti Lata Bij. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And when we chant the glories of Lord Krishna, we are saying, my dear Lord Krishna, my dear mother Radha, Hare, my dear Lord Ram, please engage me in your devotional service. And in this mood we are praying, and as soon as we call out their names, of course, their images appear in the mind, their name, form, activities, pastimes, they appear to us, and they help us understand that remembering Lord's pastime is purifying. It immediately transmigrates us from this material world to the spiritual world, where we can directly see the sweet pastimes like Uddhav is describing. So when we hear the description from Uddhav, as how he's describing that Lord Kṛṣṇa, he's killing these demons, and these demons are attaining Vaikuntha. And of what to talk about Vaikuntha? The first demon he kills, Putana, she attains the Golok Vrindavan, which is the topmost planet even in the spiritual world. Can you imagine this again? Such causeless mercy. Lord is full in all, he has unlimited opulences, and as per Parashar Muni, one who is full in 6 opulences is Bhagwan. So he gives the definition of Bhagwan. Parashar Muni is father of Srila Vyasdev. So he gives this definition. Aishvaryasya samagrasya viryasya yasha shriya jnana vairagayascha sannam bhagaiti gana. So the definition जो Parashar Muni ने दी है वो है Aishvaryasya. One samagrasya is one who is full, 100%, who has what potencies? Aishvaryasya, full of opulence, full of fortune, opulence. Viryasya, full in strength, who is all powerful. Yasha, who is all famous. Shriya, one who is most beautiful and most wealth, Shriya, Shide. And Jnana, so one who is the most knowledgeable. Vairagya, who is most renounced. So one who is full in all 6 opulences is Bhagwan. And that's why in Bhagavad Gita when we read Shri Bhagwan Uvacha, right? So again, when Lord Kṛṣṇa is speaking, it's always Srila Vyasdev is writing Shri Bhagwan Uvacha, because the definition he learned from his father Parashar Muni is that Lord Kṛṣṇa is Parameshwar. He is the supreme God. So again, supreme personality of Godhead. So these are the dealings. And then he is describing then Lord Kṛṣṇa when he tells his father Vasudev that we are so sorry that we could not serve you. All these years we had to hide away from you. So again, Vasudeva and Devaki, when they, Kansa is killed and Lord Kṛṣṇa and Balaram they approach, Vasudeva and Devaki rose from their seat understanding that these are supreme personality of Godhead. Kṛṣṇa and Balaram are supreme personality of Godhead. Yet immediately Lord Kṛṣṇa, he invoked his Yogamaya so that they again fall into that forgetfulness of his opulence, and they remember him as their son, right? As their sons. So at that time, when Lord Kṛṣṇa is saying that we could not serve you, sometimes people say, oh, so here he was really, this is Lord Kṛṣṇa himself saying that he is, he ran away, he was hiding in Vrindavan, in Gokul, and then later in Vrindavan, and he did not serve his parents. A baby is served by the parents, right? And he did not want to lose that bhav he was experiencing, the loving pastime he was having, this loving exchange with his parents, right? Devaki and Vasudeva. So that's why Lord Kṛṣṇa is saying in this manner. This is also being explained by Uddhavji. And we want to talk about the devotees. Then he starts glorifying Lord Kṛṣṇa, like how he was interacting with the devotees in Vrindavan, as how he was interacting with his parents in this loving mood, how he was playing with his cowherd friends, boyfriends, as well as how he was, stealing the hearts of all the gopis. And so there is this picture that comes in, and it comes in early here, just to give you a glimpse of coming attraction. So again, but this is like coming attraction, but we have to get to this level to understand this pastime as how Lord Kṛṣṇa is performing, his wonderful pastimes, sweet pastimes with all the gopis, and especially this so again, this is highly confidential subject matter, yet at the same time a glimpse has been given by Uddhav in this regard, and he talks about various demons that were killed, and at the battle of Kurukshetra, where Arjun, when he shot arrows, and he was killing the enemy soldiers, his arrows were purifying those soldiers, and Lord Krishna's glance. So everyone who died on the battle of Kurukshetra, on the battlefield, the last moment they saw Lord Krishna, and they were completely mesmerized by the moon-like face of Lord Krishna. And what does Lord Krishna says about that? Shivdev Goswami is already revealed, right? That the purpose of life is to remember Ante Narayana Smriti, that the goal of life is to remember Lord Krishna at the last moment of your life, at the moment of death. And Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he reveals, Ante kale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati sa madbhavam yati nastatra samshayah. So there is assumption, there is no doubt of what? That whoever thinks of Lord Krishna at the last moment of life, at the moment of death, will attain his abode. So that is the goal of life, to be able to go back home, back to Godhead, and engage in devotional service, because that is our constitutional position. Jivera Sarupaya Krishnera Nityadas. And sometimes people say that, Lord Krishna, so what to talk about devotees, what a good fortune awaits us when we constantly remember in separation the sweet, super excellent pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna, how he's interacting with the cowherd boys, how he's stealing butter from the houses of the gopis as Makhanchor, and how he is, being bound by the love of Yashoda Mai, how he is serving Nand Baba by putting the slippers, when he is bringing the slippers on his head, and how... Hare Krishna. Yes. So he is bound by the love of Yashoda Mai. So again, such sweet pastimes. And when Queen Kunti talks about this pastime, she doesn't call Yashoda Mai by her name. She said, that gopi who bound you, by whose fear you ran, even though fear personified is afraid of you, but you were fearful of this gopi who ran behind you to catch you. That bewilders her. So sometimes people say that Lord Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu. Again, this is limited understanding. And sometimes they even say, even in Dwarka, the residents of Dwarka, they thought that Lord Krishna is an incarnation of the super soul, Paramatma in our heart. So Paramatma is the third Purusha avatar, right? Shirodakshai Vishnu, who's residing at the Shiv Saga, but he also expands and he is in heart of every living entity, and also he is in every single atom and even spaces between atoms. So he expands. So even though he is one, he appears divided into many. So that is an essential aspect. And we should understand from that perspective that, even in Dwarka, people thought that he is an expansion of the super soul. In Vrindavan, however, Yoga Maya, by her influence, made everyone forget. So everybody thought, Lord Krishna is the object of their love. He is our Lalla, he is our Kanha, he is our Kanhaiya. And they would deal with him like that, with love, having sweet pastime with Lord Shri Krishna. The gopis, they would say, we'll give you this sweet Krishna, why don't you dance? And Krishna would dance and dance and dance, and everyone would clap together, and they will joke around. All these wonderful pastimes would constantly, appear, and these are played out by Lord Shri Krishna. And Uddhava reveals one secret here, that just like the sun sets, Lord Krishna, he has set, right? He has moved ahead, he has gone back to his abode. He is not visible in this material universe, which means the Krishna's pastimes, Lord Krishna's pastimes has started in some other universe, right? So when it is morning here in America, it is night in India, right? When it is morning in India, it becomes night in America because of the fact. So there are so many universes, there are unlimited material universes. And Lord Krishna appears once in every day of Brahma. And a day of Brahma is known as Kalpa, 320 billion years, 4,320 billion years. So we should understand from that perspective that such a long time, 1,000 times of this, which means the Chatur yugas is 1,000, which is 4,320 million years long, and of which this Kali age is 432,000 years, of which only 5,000 years have passed. But we are very lucky. Now we should be very grateful that we are born in this time, even in Kali Yuga. From the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 10,000 years of golden age in Kali times have started. So this is the time, but we should not wait for 9,500 years more, because afterwards the condition will go very bad, right? And in the 12th canto, that condition is also described, where human beings, they will be as tall as like 2.5 feet long, right, height, and their facial features will become very unattractive, and their age would be like 20 to 25 years. Can you imagine? That would be the age of people after 9,500 some years, 9,478 or so years basically. So again, we should look from the perspective that we should make our life perfect now. We should immediately, constantly think of Lord Shri Krishna, remembering his supreme pastimes. And when people think that, okay, he's an incarnation of different other personalities, then in the 3rd chapter of 1st canto, it has already been revealed that he is the avatari, he is the source of all incarnations in this material and spiritual universes. Ete cham skalahapum sa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Loke Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. So it's very nicely clear by Sutta Goswami. He is revealing this, that all these expansions and portions of primary expansions are expansions of Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna is the avatari, and his Swamsha expansions are all Vishnu Tattvas. But he is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, while they are the expansions. And as first expansion is Balaram, so there are further expansions from Balaram, and Balaram is Adi Guru. So we have to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Yet at the same time, a theistic mindset causes people to have doubts and even speculate. And they deride Lord Krishna from his position. And for them, what does Lord Krishna says? Avajanante mam mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavam ajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. So Lord Krishna is telling avajanante mam mudha, people who are like mudhas, who are dull-headed, who are fools, who are like asses, they do not know his supreme glories, right? Because he is appearing in his 2-arm form, which is actually more divine than the 4-arm and many thousands of arm forms. 4-arm form of Lord Vishnu is much inferior compared to the 2-arm form of Shyama Sundar. And similarly, Vishwarupa, the Virat Rupa, is also much inferior than that form. But when we hear about the universal form, Vishwarupa of Lord Shri Krishna, sometimes because it's gigantic, it's also known as Virat Rupa. But in Bhagavad Gita, that distinction is there. Virat Rupa in Bhagavad Gita is talking about the 4-arm form of Vishnu, while Vishwarupa is referring to the thousands of heads, thousands of arms, thousands of legs. So that is being referred is even much inferior. Yet at the same time, Lord, when we in the beginning stages, when we are trying to understand, we have to see Lord everywhere. Then when we see the universal form of the Lord, then we can relate to everything in this material world with Lord Shri Krishna. When we look at the trees, we understand, oh, these are the hair of the universal form, right? When we look at the rivers, we understand, oh, these are the veins of Lord Shri Krishna. When we look at the sun, these are the eyes, sun and moon are the eyes of Lord Shri Krishna. This way, we remember Lord Shri Krishna. So one mana, we want to constantly remember. So first we are attaching ourselves by remembrance of his form. Then we move further to look at the remembrance of his sweet pastimes, where anyone and everyone he is interacting is going back home, back to Godhead because of his causeless mercy. Such merciful is Lord Shri Krishna. He is so merciful that he enables us to return back home as an affectionate father who embraces his son, saying that, oh yes, I am waiting for you to come. I am waiting. So he is more anxious than us. Yet at the same time, he is Atmaram. So again, that's why he is inconceivable. He is anxious for us because he can, as a compassionate father, he doesn't want to see us suffering. So we should take to his devotional service, and we should seek to increase our Krishna consciousness, improve ourselves. And no matter whatever desire we have, we can take to devotional service. What is said in Srimad-Bhagavatam? Akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udaradehi tivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. So whatever desire one has, akamaha, if one does not have any desire for sense enjoyment, but only wants to serve Lord Shri Krishna, sarva kamava, or even if one has desire for all kind of material enjoyment, all kind of material desires, moksha kama, and if one has desire to merge into Brahman, to get liberated from the three modes of material nature, tivrena bhakti yogena, such a person should, with strong enthusiasm, faith, determination, engage in what? Bhakti yogena, bhakti yoga, should take to devotional service, the 9 process of devotional service. Yajate Purusham Param. Whose devotional service? Purusham Param, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. So again, this chapter, Uddhav is continuing to describe and continues to describe even in the next chapter of Lord Krishna's pastimes outside Vrindavan. So we'll pick it up there, but understand that in this age, it is not the injunctions given in the Shastras, is not that the demons have to be killed, it is the demonic mentality have to be destroyed, and the process is very simple. We should always, instead of pointing fingers at others, when we point one finger towards others, 3 fingers are pointing towards us. What does that mean? That we only identify a negative quality in others that we have in us. So we should first try to purify ourselves. And the best process is to chant the holy name of Lord Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So this is where we end the chapter today. Granthara Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.